What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we are doing my review of The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. I know, it's been out for almost a week. Like I said, can't guarantee when I'm going to be pushing these reviews out to you guys, but I'm going to get them every week, trust me. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, like usual, we are going to start off with the things that I liked about this episode, and then later on we're going to get into the things that I didn't like. Starting off with the things I really loved about this episode. First of all, I love the Battle of Jackson. It was so well done in this episode. It's completely something we never get to see in the game. And I love the way they did it here. You do hear about it for a split moment in the game, but again, you never actually get to see it. I think the way they did it was absolutely, they made it intense, they made it awesome, they made it action-packed, along with making it scary at the same time, and really, gut-wrenching, and, you kind of were on the edge of your seat the entire time. For that, and another reason, which we'll get to later. But yeah, the visual effects that they used to just show this entire gigantic horde. Not all of it was CGI, but a lot of it was, and it looked fantastic. I love how they showed how Jackson is prepared for shit like this. They know, what's coming, and then they know how to defend themselves. And I love how strategic they are, how they throw out the gas canisters, and and then they blow them up, and it blows up the whole horde, but they put the cars in front of the doors so they can't get in, right? I love how they're using flamethrowers, which are a big thing in the first and second game. We get to see Tommy take on a bloater one-on-one. That was so awesome. Again, you get to see how everybody works together and comes together when shit like this happens. So I really liked that. I also really enjoyed how they, kind of recreated more specific things in the second game, like the beginning of the second game where Jesse knocks on the door, wakes Ellie up. He tells her about how he kissed, or she tells him how about he kissed Dina and shit like that, and he's like, it's kind of fucked up you did that type thing, So that was all really cool, getting to see that reenacted. And then she. Having Seth apologize to Ellie. I loved seeing that get recreated. I love the banter between Jesse and Ellie. It's just like it was in the game. Those two have so much chemistry in the game and in the show. I think they both do a fantastic job with that. I also like how we get, to see more with Abby's crew, with the WLFs, everything like that. All right. Now we're going to get into the big topic of discussion of this episode, Joel's death. How did I feel about it? Did I like it? Did I not like it? I'm half and half on it. There's things I liked, there's things I didn't like. I'm going to discuss the things that I liked. I love the way it was done, specifically his death. I think the way they handled it, it was different, less brutal, but also it had the same effect. You felt what you needed to feel. And I think, it just did what it was meant to do. Obviously in the game, his head is just completely bashed in with a golf club. In this, he just pretty much gets his face punched a bunch. That rhymed. He just gets his face destroyed by Abby's fist, and then she stabs the broken end of the golf club into his neck. Which I felt was a very effective way to be less brutal than the game, but also at the same time be just as brutal. Excuse me. I kind of like the way they did that. I love how Bella performed the scene of just her crying and just being in utter disbelief and in shambles. Again, I don't ever want to hear that Bella Ramsey can't act ever again. If you're not sold on Bella Ramsey's acting by this point, you're just a fucking idiot. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. You're a moron. And it's not Bella Ramsey's acting that people don't like. People just don't like the way she looks. And a lot of them won't admit it. You'll see online, oh, she just doesn't show emotion. She doesn't know how to act properly. We want the girl from Aliens. I'm sorry, but the girl from Aliens cannot act. She cannot act. And I'm going to actually do a video about this, about why Bella Ramsey is better than the girl from Aliens. Can't even remember the actress's name because she was so damn forgettable in her one notable role that she was in. No offense on her, but she doesn't hold a candle to Bella Ramsey, and I'm going to be making a video on that. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. Again, yes, love the way Bella acted in that scene. I thought it was very effective. I think it held true to the game. I think the way that, Abby finds Joel, that they recreated it perfectly from the game. The scene where Abby's crawling along the fence and they infect her to like right here. One pops out, jumps on her, Joel shoots it in the head and then helps her get up. I think the way that, Abby finds out that it is Joel was actually done smarter in this than it was in the game. In the game, Tommy just pretty much straight up introduces Joel and himself. They're like, "Oh, I'm Tommy. That's Joel." It's like it felt a little uncharacteristic of them, because they're so Joel and Tommy both know how badly they fucked people over in the past. They know that they're not the most popular sort, and it just feels out of character for them to just go around introducing themselves to people they never met before. And I think the way it was handled in this was a lot better. Just having Dina call out Joel's name, looking for him, being like, "Joel, is that you? Were you there?" type thing. I think that was a lot better as well. I love, again, all the stuff with just the big-ass hordes of infected, how they're kind of, hiding underneath the snow, under a bunch of other dead infected bodies and stuff. I thought that was really a new, creative, smart way to handle it. I think they're definitely showing that infected are a lot smarter in the show than they are in the game. And I'm really glad that they're doing that because it makes them feel like more of a threat, It doesn't make them feel like they're just a bunch of bumbling, idiotic zombies. They're just running around basic as fuck. They actually have, a brain, And it's going to make it a lot scarier when we eventually get to the Shamblers and then obviously the Rat King, which probably won't be till season 3, but I cannot wait for that. So yeah, I think the big takeaway from this episode was definitely, how the infected were handled, in my opinion. I just think I love this whole new thing that they're just so much smarter than what we're used to. So that is pretty much going to cover everything that I liked about this episode. Now we are going to get into the things that I dislike, and unfortunately, there's quite a few things. All right, so most of the things I didn't like about this episode kind of revolve around the Joel death scene. My main complaint with the Joel death scene is I don't agree with the idea with Abby explaining herself to Joel and just completely having an exposition dump right before she kills him. I mean, she tells him everything. Who her father was, that he killed her father. This is all things we didn't find out till later. And I understand it's a different approach, and I respect it. I just don't know if I like it. I just don't know if I like this approach. And I trust Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann with this route that they're going down. And I don't even want to necessarily say I don't like it. I'm just not sure I completely agree with it. It's definitely not a bad route to go down. It's just different. And I don't know if I'm ready for how different it is. Because in the game, we see Abby kill Joel. We have no idea why. And it makes that hatred for her so much worse. Whereas in this, you get that understanding as to why she did it, so the hatred isn't as bad. Granted, again, I really feel like this season is made for people who have already played the game. I feel like they're kind of trying to say, well, you guys know Joel was gonna die anyway. You already know why Abby's doing it. So we're just gonna, instead of just waiting, we're just gonna tell you, because you already know. I feel like that's kind of the way they approach this season so far. And another thing I really didn't like is, again, it just really feels like they hold your hand into Joel's death. And for people who are seeing it first, like, I like to watch people's reactions to it for the first time. I have my father watch it with me. And I want to see because he's never played the games. I want to see the shock value in it, that's what's so fun about watching people react to things. And you can pretty much see it coming because they make it so obvious. I mean, she literally says, "I'm going to kill you." Right when she has him there on the ground. Another thing, I wasn't a big fan of the fact that they switched Tommy out with Dina. I understand they needed to have a hero-like figure in Jackson to defend it. But I feel like we could have followed the point of view of Maria in that sense. And, or maybe Jesse. You could have kept Jesse in Jackson. I feel like Tommy was the one character you should have had with Joel. because you got to understand, when you're in the game, Tommy is the leading force to go to Seattle, pretty much. Ellie kind of has to convince him to do it. But after that, Tommy just goes out on his own. He leaves Ellie and Dina behind, And so now I'm really wondering, I'm like, is Tommy even going to go to Seattle? Because he doesn't know what they look like. He doesn't know any of these things. So why would he go to Seattle? There's really no reason for him to. Obviously, it's his brother, but he doesn't know about the WLF. He doesn't know what they look like. He doesn't know any of these things. When he's there and he saw every single one of those persons, it made it so much more personal for Tommy. And it was a big part of Tommy's arc in the game, even though he's not in the game all that much. It's a real motivator for him to actually go to Seattle. And now, if he's not in Seattle, it's kind of... it's going to be different, and I don't know if I agree with it, because I'm one of those people who, I like to listen into things. I'm very perceptive. I hear everything. If something's said in the background, I love going through Seattle, and, when you go to a WLF base, you hear in the background, oh, white male spotted, he's an intruder, you hear it like over a radio in the distance. I'm like, oh, that's Tommy, like, that's so cool. It just builds out the world. And, if Tommy's not in Seattle, we're going to be missing out on a lot of that. Which I know that sounds very nitpicky, but, I just think Tommy should have been the one who was there. Speaking of Dina also being there, I'm not a fan of the way they subdued her by injecting her with a needle and knocking her out for an hour. That was a bit, it was a really situational thing to do. Very convenient, almost. It's like, why would you even bring that with you? Like, they just had, like, this syringe full of fuck only knows what, and they just injected it into her hand. Like, I feel like they just could have knocked her out. Like, just pistol whipped her or some shit, but instead they decided to go with that, which I thought was a bit strange. Another thing, which I'm already seeing a shitstorm online about this, I kind of can't blame them to an extent, is Abby calling Joel handsome. That was a strange piece of dialogue. Obviously, I know in the first episode, he was described to her as handsome. But it just doesn't seem like that's something you would say to the person that murdered your father. You sit there and you say, oh, I can't actually lie, you're pretty handsome. It's like, it's not only is it uncharacteristic for Abby to say that, but I just feel in general that's uncharacteristic for anybody who's out for vengeance like Abby is, right? So I thought that was a weird choice of dialogue there to have her say that. But I don't think she meant it in the, oh, I kind of agree with him, you are pretty handsome type of way. I think she just kind of said it in the condescending, because right after that, she's like, congrats on that. Like, I think she was kind of saying it in the kind of way, it's like, oh, like, congratulations, you're handsome. It's not going to matter in a few minutes, though, because you're going to fucking die. Like, type of way, like, a very condescending type of way. I think that's how they were trying to portray it. Didn't necessarily come off that way. But, it's just a strange piece of dialogue. Another thing I'm kind of upset they left out is the entire Ellie and Dina, sex scene, pretty much. I mean, the whole scene where they find Eugene's base in the library and they go down to the basement. It's a big weed farm. The weed farm's still in the show, obviously, but it was just a huge bonding moment for Dina and Ellie, and I think it added to their arcs completely. And I can just tell the reason they did it was just so Bella and Isabella didn't have to film a sex scene, which I think is a dumb reason to leave out what, in my opinion, is a pretty important scene. Because again, it just adds to their bond and their love for each other. So yeah, it was kind of upsetting to see that was completely taken out of the show. Instead, it's Jesse and Ellie who stumble upon this 7-Eleven, and they find all Eugene's shit in there and everything, and it's all the weed and stuff. And you get a little inkling as to what happened with Eugene and why he died, which we will end up getting to a later episode. We're going to get like a whole episode dedicated to Eugene, which this is again video for another time, which this is another thing that's got me really worried about this series. I don't know why they decided to only do it 7 episodes. I think it's a dumb, bad idea. I don't see how they're going to fit the first half of the second game all into 7 episodes. I mean, we're already about to be in episode 3, and an entire episode is going to be dedicated to Eugene flashbacks. Plus, we got to do all the, you know, the 3 other flashbacks we got to do. It's just like, I don't know how they're going to fit all this in. It's got me really worried because they did this in the first game where they kind of skipped over a lot of parts. Again, the whole sex scene with Dina and Ellie was skipped over in this. In the first game, they skipped over the entire scene where Joel gets stuck in the bus right at the end of the game, and Ellie has to help him get her out. Like they just skip over these big ass scenes, and it's just like it almost makes the show feel like a condensed version of what you're seeing in the game, which I don't like at all. So yeah, I just really wish this season would be longer. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much all it is that I didn't like about this episode. Overall, and while I had a lot of complaints, I still give this episode like a pretty much a 9 out of 10, man. Because while again I had a lot of complaints, a lot of them are just because of how different they are, and not necessarily because they're bad. And the ones that are kind of bad are just nitpicks. So this is still one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. I still think this show's peak. Again, people who are complaining online, they just want to hate because, oh, it's woke. Oh, it's misogynistic. People are just fucking idiots. They just want to hate on everything. They want it to fail. They don't want it to succeed. They ignore all the bullshit. The show's doing great right now. The fucking reviews for it are through the roof. I mean, sky high. The viewership's sky high. Enjoy it, you know. Block out the hate. That's, you know, something you gotta learn to do. So, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.